What the music corporations are doing to these reggae legends is a silent scandal they pray you never uncover. I have uncovered the legal documents that expose a shocking system designed to take everything from the artists. The reason one of these iconic musicians is still fighting in court today will leave you speechless. You have to see the final reveal to believe how deep the deception goes. Burning Spear, born Winston Rodney, walked through the music world as a man who understood that sound is inheritance. When he sang, he invoked memory, history, and identity, not just entertainment. And because he knew the depth of what he carried, he refused to let others dictate the worth of his creations. Over the years, when labels failed to pay royalties or attempted to release his work without consent, he did not remain silent or passive. He pursued accountability. Burning Spear believed that the voice of the artist should not be a relic controlled by outside hands. His dispute with publishers and distributors was not simply about money, it was about autonomy. His music honored Africa, resistance, and self-determination, and he expected the industry to respect that authority. When he spoke out publicly demanding the rightful control of his catalog and masters, it was a challenge to a long-standing economic structure in reggae, where those who created the culture often received the smallest share of its revenue. Burning Spear's stance was that a man must own the fruits of his spirit, or else those fruits rot in someone else's storage. Steely and Clevie, Wycliffe Steely Johnson and Cleveland Clevie Brown, did not walk onto the world stage seeking confrontation. They built rhythms. They crafted patterns that would become templates for entire musical movements. Their fish market rhythm would later evolve through multiple hands and nations into the dembo rhythm that fuels modern reggaeton. Artists across continents built careers atop the pulse. Steely and Clevie originated when they filed lawsuits against global stars who used variations of this rhythm without credit or clearance. They were not grasping at straws, they were protecting innovation. The question raised by their case was monumental. Can a rhythm, a groove pattern, an identifiable structural musical DNA be owned? The outcome of this battle holds the potential to reshape the foundation of contemporary global music. If Steely and Clevie prevail, it will affirm that the creative source must be honored, regardless of how far the influence travels. If not, it reinforces the historical pattern where cultural expressions from Caribbean and African roots are absorbed, globalized, and monetized without the original architects receiving proportional acknowledgement or gain. Their case is not merely legal, it is historical correction. Peter Tosh had sounded the alarm long before these modern disputes emerged. He was direct, fearless, uncompromising. His songs did not beg for acceptance, they demanded change. Legalize it was not a plea. It was an assertion rooted in principle and defiance. Peter Tosh used music as both weapon and shield, confronting institutional injustice with lyrics sharpened into protest. After his tragic passing away, the struggle over the ownership of his music and message intensified. The battle was not simply among estate representatives. It was against companies who believed they could shape his legacy for commercial purposes. Tosh's heirs inherited more than a catalog, they inherited a mission. Protecting his recordings, image, publishing rights, and licensing agreements required constant vigilance. The legal disputes surrounding his estate reflect the broader tension between artistic intent and commercial exploitation. Tosh had always spoken about liberation. In death, those who carry his name must continue liberating his works from misappropriation. Inner Circle, the group whose hit Bad Boys became a cultural fixture, faced a different but equally complex challenge. The song spread like wildfire television theme music, film soundtracks, parodies, global mass awareness. But as distribution expanded, tracking royalties became labyrinthine. Licensing contracts stretched across borders and corporate transfers. Broadcast usage fees historically favored distributors and network owners over creators. Inner Circle's fight was not dramatic in headlines, but intense in documentation. They understood that enduring popularity does not automatically guarantee fair compensation. Their struggle demonstrates that music, once released into global circulation, must be continuously defended. Bad Boys became a symbol a brand, a cultural phrase, but it remained their creation. Their insistence on proper accounting and licensing set a precedent for artists whose works transcend initial boundaries. Conscience faced a new era of infringement, one rooted in digital consumption. Caller tunes, ringtone downloads, and micro-licensing markets rose rapidly, especially in regions where digital monitoring systems were underdeveloped. When telecom companies in Uganda used his music without clearance, they did not expect repercussions. The assumption was that artists would not notice or would accept the exposure as compensation. Conscience shattered that assumption. He pursued legal action and won. His case signaled to the industry that even the smallest uses of music, those that were once viewed as negligible, carry value. The acknowledgement of his rights helped shift the understanding of digital royalties in emerging markets. It was not just a financial victory, it was structural change. Flurgon, known formally as Michael May, saw his lyric, "We run things, things no run." We transformed into a worldwide pop anthem through Miley Cyrus's hit, "We Can't Stop." The case was not centered on whether Cyrus admired or respected Jamaican culture. The issue was authorization. Creativity is not an open resource pool where lines can be extracted without recognition. Flurgon's lawsuit served as a cultural declaration that Jamaican artistry is not secondary, not derivative, not raw material for Western polish. His settlement proved that even against global celebrity and corporate backing, authorship can prevail when supported by truth. Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare were the architects of sound itself. Together they shaped the sonic identity of reggae's rhythm section. The patterns they created became blueprints. Their work influenced artists globally, across multiple genres, decades, and movements. Yet session musicians and producers historically received less structural protection than vocal performers. Sly and Robbie became advocates not just for themselves, but for production rights recognition. They demonstrated that composition does not end with lyrics. Rhythm, arrangement, sonic texture, and timing are equally foundational. Their business model, assertive control of publishing shares, master ownership where possible, and relentless monitoring of licensing became a model for producers seeking longevity rather than fleeting credits. Toots, Hibbert, frontman of Toots and the Maytals, saw the music business from its earliest crossroads. He was present during the initial flowering of reggae, before international copyright frameworks were formalized. In those days, handshake deals and verbal agreements governed careers. The legal language was vague, and artists trusted producers who sometimes lacked transparency or ethical clarity. Toots experienced the loss of royalties not as theft in one moment, but as erosion over time. His voice traveled, his songs endured, but the compensation did not always reach him proportionately. His situation reflects the structural disadvantage faced by early reggae artists. They built a global cultural phenomenon before there were legal systems in place to protect them. His legacy shows the cost of pioneering without institutional support. Max Romeo's case is perhaps the most haunting. His music influenced not only reggae, but hip-hop, film soundtracks, and pop culture across decades. Yet he discovered, late in life, that royalties he expected had never been paid. His lawsuit against a major music corporation was an attempt to reclaim nearly half a century of value lost through opaque accounting and unfavorable contract terms. His death before the case was resolved adds weight to the urgency of reform in royalty distribution. Delayed justice in the music industry is not symbolic, it is literal loss, especially when artists do not live long enough to see restitution. His estate continues the case not only in his name, but in the name of every artist whose work built the foundation of global music culture, while others collected its wealth. Bob Marley's legacy forms the central axis of this topic because his music transcended commercial categorization. His songs became cultural identity, national pride, spiritual teaching, and global commodity. After his passing, disputes over whether his work was created independently or under work for hire, agreements shaped decades of litigation. The Marley family's efforts to secure full ownership of his master recordings represent a struggle to maintain the spiritual and cultural sanctity of his contributions. Bob Marley did not write songs for corporate brand alignment or marketing campaigns. He wrote for liberation, community, and consciousness. The battle for control of his catalog is therefore not only contractual, it is ideological. His legacy cannot be diluted into merchandise without acknowledging the meaning behind the music. Across these intertwined histories, the topic at hand is justified by the pattern they reveal. Reggae was not born in boardrooms. It was created in yards, studios, street corners, community gatherings, cultural memory. It came from hardship, struggle, joy, and faith. Artists created not for institutional approval, but for survival and affirmation of identity. When global industry structures later profited from these creations, the lack of fair compensation was not accidental, it was systemic. These artists fought not just for themselves, but for the principle that creativity has authors. Authors have rights, and rights must be respected. The legal battles do not diminish the music, they honor it. They ensure that the names behind the sound are never separated from their contributions. Steely and Cleavy's ongoing case stands now as the mirror of the entire history. If rhythm can be owned, acknowledged, and paid for, then the source of cultural innovation can finally receive its due. If not, the cycle continues. Burning Spear defended identity. Peter Tosh defended message. Florgon defended authorship. Conscience defended digital integrity. Inner Circle defended licensing. Toots fought erosion. Sly and Robbie defended structure. Max Romeo pursued restitution. The Marley family protected legacy. Steely and Clevy challenged the global industry itself. These battles justify themselves because music is not just sound, it is labor, culture, memory, struggle, and creation. And creation deserves respect. Tell me which of these legal battles shocked you the most. Let me know in the comments if you were aware of these copyright wars happening behind the music. Share which artist you believe deserves justice immediately. I am reading every single one of your thoughts. Follow for more exposés on the hidden side of the music industry.